And all. So we continue in the conversation, real talk and solutions, real talk and real solutions, right? To the problems that we face, the social ills we face within the Caribbean, right? Because nobody is going to help us but ourselves. And there's no one to save us in the Caribbean but ourselves, right? So we continue in this conversation about the real solutions to the real problems that we have, right? And we can go around fixing our own problems, right? So one of the problems in the Caribbean that we face, and by extension the world, but we are helping ourselves within the Caribbean region, right, is incest, the problem of incest, right? And this is a problem throughout the world, but I am specifically referring to the Caribbean and helping Caribbean people, right? Um, Other people over the world can help themselves if they want to. I am here to help Caribbean people, right? So um, the problem of incest, right? What is incest, right? Incest is that you are behaving sexually, right, to those who you are not supposed to behave sexually with, or you have intentions or thoughts or feelings, right, towards people that you should not have incestuous thoughts, relations, actions towards, right? So we are talking about one family members, right? You act in a way, right, towards a family member that is sexual, right? Or you have sexual intentions or thoughts towards a family member. That could be a father, a daughter, a mother, a brother, um, aunt, or uncle, any blood relation, right, or non-biological blood relation, right? Biological or non-biological, meaning your in-law, right? Son-in-law, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, right? Step siblings, half siblings, right? All these things. Anyone appointed, somebody, your grandparents, right? Grandchildren, or anybody appointed physically to you, right? To take care of you, right? So, uh, if you are ill and a nurse is appointed to you, right, that kind of situation, or a caretaker is appointed to you, relations between that, if you have a maid in your house, that relation towards that situation, right, any situation in which there is a guardianship within your home, or family relations, or biological or non-biological, towards which you should not be having that kind of relation with, right? A student, a teacher, right? That kind of situation. All of these things are within the framework of considered as incestuous relations, right? Anybody you are not supposed to have sexual actions or be carrying out sexual actions towards. Now, actions is one thing, right? You give up certain actions. It is natural in some regards, right? You go out into the workplace or school or whatever, and you have a little crush. Somebody teaching you, you have a little crush on your teacher, right? Them thing is normal, right? I'm talking about actual carrying out the action or serious intention of sexual relations with people you are not supposed to. And for the most part, we are referring to family members. When we talk about incest, is biologically related or non-biological within your family framework, right? That's what we're referring to in terms of incest, right? So it is a problem in the Caribbean, a social problem, and we are talking about helping people to alleviate these things. And these things are touchy topics, and are often secret, right? Secret or private. People keep these things within their own private realms, and it's not something that's often discussed. I don't think I ever recall seeing this being discussed on any morning talk show program or hearing this. I mean, I've been listening to these morning talk show programs all my years, going to school and all these things, and I can't recall these things being a subject of this discussion. So we are calling on one, the media, right, to bring attention to these issues in conjunction with the Ministry of Culture, right, and or community development, because these things are cultural, it's traditional, right, it's aspects of our culture, right, whatever aspect of wherever in the world these things descended from, right, and it's a traditional thing, it's tradition, right. So we are calling on Ministry of Culture, community development, these as well as integrated with the gender and youth and child affairs as well, in conjunction with the mainstream media, right, to radio talk show programs and so on, right, to bring awareness and attention to these issues, to help people to break these sorts of customs, right? Break these sorts of customs that are what? Wrong, right? Is immoral, right? It is immoral, and doesn't even have to do with anything with religion, God, anything like that, right? It is simply a wrong thing, right? So it is bringing attention to this, right? And those in authority, appointed in authority, is obligated to, right? Obligated to bring these things to the forefront of public awareness, right? So that people start to think about their actions, right, and how their actions can psychologically impact, right, and other people in the world, and all these things as well ties, with access to technology as well, right? So we are also integrating technology discussions into this talk, right? This conversation about your children access to pornography and how easy it is to access any information you want out there. This is a digital world that we live in, right? So we are backtracking a little bit because children have access to anything, right? So we are backtracking a little bit, right? So that your child, and talking to parents now, right? Your child. So we are bringing public awareness to parents more, and this is a have to be an ongoing conversation, right? Because everybody is making babies, right? Your child, there's always children in the world, right? So bringing awareness to your child's access to technology. You just give your child an iPad and tell them, hey, let the iPad babysit your child, right? Or give your child a computer and let that computer babysit your child, right? So limiting your child's access to technology, certain websites and so on, right? This is something that you cannot control how the world is operating, right? As a parent, right? You could only manage what you can do to manage your child, right? You can't control how the world is functioning out there, right? And the world wants to grab your child into that realm, right? So you could only manage your child and the access that you give your child to that technology. That's why I actually am advocating for this. Remember how we had that 20-hour week internet long ago, right? When computers are now come out and stuff, when my age, right? That to manage your child access to this full-time Wi-Fi or full-time data, right? Your child don't need data 24/7, right? Your child does not need data 24/7, right? You do not need, as a parent even, you do not need data 24/7. As a child, you do not need data 24/7 on your phone, right? So I talk about limiting access, because what you see what a child see your parent doing, the child will integrate, right? And what the child see their friends doing in school, they're going to integrate. And what they see the teachers doing in school, they will integrate into their lives, right? So you limit your child's access, and you try to oversee, well, at least while your child at a particular age, right? Or when you are now introducing them to these things, right? You try to, parents now are more aware about technology than there was in my time when these things are now come out, right? So you try to oversee or manage that which your child is being exposed to on the internet, right? And limit, and this is a conversation too for those who manage technology, but those people and don't have any interest in our development, right? So this is why we need to take more interest in our own development, right? So it's to ensure that these sites are not accessible, right, where children can learn about these things that are actually highly immoral and detrimental to their psychological well-being, right? So this is a conversation today. It's to parents, it is to the Caribbean media, right? It is to culture, to community development, it's to child and youth affairs, it's to us all, right? It's a conversation we all need to participate and take action with regard to, if we want to ensure our own safety, psychological safety, mental well-being, right? And protection from the influences of the outer world, technological and otherwise, right? So have a good day, everybody.